And we are
Hey,
live.
yeah.
Welcome to the
Hello,
Red
everyone.
Blue Pod. Welcome to the Red Blue Pods number 102. And and uh I hope all of you enjoyed this intro because this intro shall be back in the future at some point, but starting next week, we will use another intro. New format, new intro. Um Anyhow, how are you, Overlord?
I'm doing fine. I finished school for the session, so I'm more free.
This
Yes.
is good news. Maybe you will have more time to watch a bit more movies here and there. Now
Yeah, I
that
hope
you have
so
the full
too.
planning.
I hope so
Um,
too. I also hope there'll be more worthwhile movies to watch in those current days.
Man,
The
maybe
lineup,
you're a
the
bit
future lineup.
harsh. Maybe you don't look at the right place because
Well,
last
I've
week I've seen Monkey Man, and that was a goddamn good movie, and that was made in 2024. And speaking of Monkey Man, I can't believe this. I forgot to mention one of the key characteristics of the main character is a goddamn unreliable. You
Reliable.
cannot, yeah, like he's a liar. He is a liar, and that was like some of the best part of it and the most entertaining part of that character. How many backstories he can have. Anyway, we are in MCU stuff, and how are you? I don't know what's going on. How are you, DC?
I'm doing good. And I have a special guest, Multi's worst enemy, a cup of coffee.
Oh my, I'm defeated. This is the end. This is the end.
I
Now
think I'm good. Oh, I don't know. I would have brought myself one.
Yeah.
that's hilarious and funny at the same time. Um, because I barely slept last night because that's my Friday, and now we got someone backstage coming here. Chillmonger,
Why didn't you
how are
sleep?
you?
I'm doing good.
Uh,
I'm
well,
well slept.
it's basically my week is over. Now it's the weekend. And because I work night shift, I swap to normal life. So to swap, I don't sleep. That sounds weird, but now I swap.
Mm,
I think you get what I'm saying now.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you, Chillmonger? I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing good, bro.
You had a great stream with Jaded.
About Kiki Palmer, about the Rogue.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Kiki Palmer, have you got that news, DC? What do you think of Kiki Palmer as Rogue?
I've not paid attention to any of the X-Men 97 stuff. I've been focused on better X-Men content. That being of course Marvel vs. Capcom. But yeah, so I'm not interested in X-Men 97 and nor do I have plans to watch it because it probably is gonna be terrible.
Have you watched it so far, Chillmonger? X-Men 97?
I am thoroughly impressed, and I'm like optimistic that the Can I say that? Can I say what happened?
Yeah. Yeah,
That
like
Captain
I will
America.
forget about it anyway.
Good. Good. I want them to do an animated series about Captain America, and I want it to begin episode 1 with what Rogue did when she threw his shield all the way into that mountains. You're not gonna be needing this. Then she just like whips it off. I want that should be a home universe for animated stuff.
Well, I certainly hope it doesn't. That if they do a show, it'll be better than the Captain America 4 they have planned.
Yeah.
Oh,
From
that
what
doesn't
I
even
heard, it's total chaos, and yeah, it's total chaos, and not even the main actor seems to have any hope in that movie.
yeah.
I mean, if the main actor doesn't have hopes, I'm yeah.
So today we got three topics. That may sound weird, I know, Chillmonger. You're used to me having like 10 topics. Now we
No.
reduce it.
However many topics you have, I'm gonna be here 3 hours in,
Hell yeah.
wondering, you know.
Thank you. That's amazing. So we will start with Civil War, even if in the order of release and in the title it's different. We start with this one because that's the one Overlord has seen.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I guess we can start with this, and I will let Chillmonger start on that one. I'm really curious to hear your thought about Civil War.
Okay. Well, Captain America Civil War, not the other one. That one's
Yeah,
lame.
Captain America Civil War, because I would not watch no A24 Civil War expecting some hot, you know. But when it comes to Civil War, the movie was built on Iron Man versus Cap until I saw that last trailer. And I've watched trailer reactions of other people back in 2016 of realizing Underoos, and then here comes Spider-Man. Hey everyone, and his eyes got smaller. Like that sequence was like, what? Because I know all these other superheroes that they tried to establish over the last 8 years. They made some like the lesser than superheroes more popular, right? Iron Man and Cap are huge deals, but they're A-listers by the time we get to 2016. And then it's just like, oh yeah, you guys remember Spider-Man? That franchise, that guy? So when that movie happened and he joined, that scene where my boy, when Tony Stark meets up with Marissa Tomei, hot Aunt May, everything, Spider-Man dominated that movie. And even with Black Panther debuting there, I thought of this as the Spider-Man film. He owned the screen back then.
I agree. Even if the screen time was quite small, that was wow.
Because he's such an amazing, huge A-list character that he lasted. Like everything that we thought about the Civil War, I'll speak for myself. It's all the scenes were just preempt for the Spider-Man showing.
Yeah. He beats crap out of people, and he gets also beaten up. I've rewatched it. Look, I think that was the second time or third time I've seen it this week, and I liked it even more than any previous watching. It surprised me how good that was, and it was the golden era, if I can call it that way. Is it fair to say that the golden era of the MCU, like the peak of it, with Endgame as well, of course. So yeah, I will let Overlord talk about it a bit if you want, Overlord.
Okay, sure. It was like it was my first impression of things such as the Spider-Man the MCU, who generally did an interesting solid start. Generally, it's been some have said about many things about the quality of Spider-Man movies, but one thing I'll say, it actually managed to stay stable and not make a nosedive like everything else. So. Well, interesting introduction of Spider-Man, and it's like interesting, Also, an interesting introduction of actually it introduced another hero, Black Panther.
I like Black Panther a lot.
Oh yeah, it's another movie. By the way, I saw that movie as well. So
it's coming. Like,
however, I haven't seen the second one. I'd rather. Look, I'd rather just literally have I'd rather have, I'd rather jump that cliff I'd rather jump that big cliff that Chala survived than watch that movie.
I
know for a fact I will not survive the fall, and I'll do it anyway if it's between. You have to choose between watching a movie and jumping. I'll jump.
I feel you, man.
But back to Civil War. Good thing, interesting action set. Interesting action, and especially, all the interesting story about cycles of fighting and combat and making the choices. Very interesting stuff, and interesting, and particularly intense final battle at the end.
Yeah, with Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
What did you think of that fight?
Oh, some intense stuff in more ways than one. I'd say. By that point, you see, at that point, okay, Steve actually considered Tony a friend by this point, so it was, because we see many stories like they're clashing thing, but by the end of it, since but by that point, he seems to consider he seems to consider Tony as a friend, so that was pretty hard. But yeah, in the end, it shows that to the point where Tony was at some point sure that Steve would be willing to kill him. At the end, the final move was that Tony expected Steve to go for the head, which would be fatal, but
Yeah.
ultimately it didn't. Like he was so sure that that it was this over between them that Captain America would be willing to strike a fatal blow.
Yeah. Breaking the suit was enough, I think.
Yeah. ultimately he did go through it and simply disabled him and left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Chill? What did
Oh
you
wait,
think
I
of
think
that?
I'll just I think I'll put my score give a good 8, a nice 8.
Oh, that's good. That's your average. I feel like you've given 8 a lot. That's
That's
nice.
usually to say a good movie. When I say that's my average for good movies. So.
That's good. So, Chill, what did you think of that big fight between Cap and the others?
So at the time, it felt bigger. But now I can look back and say, well, it was an end game. It wasn't that big. It was kind of like not a lot of them. Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man was in there, but like movie sidekicks, like Black Widow didn't have her movie yet. War Machine didn't have her movie yet. Falcon didn't have his movie yet. Bucky didn't have his movie yet. Vision never had a movie, or Wanda either. So you can see how it's not that big. But shit, a 6-on-6 superhero fight is a 6-on-6 superhero fight. So yeah, it was really cool and interesting at the time. The way that the camera work just went from fight to fight, man, what a great usage of camera work. When Ant-Man turned really tiny, got into the Iron Man suit, that's exactly what I thought he would do watching the Ant-Man movie. And then a year later, I get to see him using his power. See, that's what I love. It didn't take very long to see this relatively obscure movie that you're only watching because it's Marvel. You get rewarded when he's in this whole Avengers team up crossover movie. It wasn't an Avengers movie, it was a Captain America movie. But you see a reward a year after. When's the last time I saw Shang-Chi? Huh? The movie came out September of 2021. And we're over 2 years out, and we haven't seen this guy yet. This is ridiculous stuff. To me, the reward has to be spoken about. The fighting was decent in the airport fight, right? It was a decent fight. Giant Man happened, and I remember the guy who directed Ant-Man, he said, I saved Giant Man for Ant-Man 2, but they blew it. They gave it away in the second, in his Civil War movie. What was I supposed to do? And that's why he's like a huge whale. But it's just not the same, bro. The way that Giant Man happens in the sequel for Ant-Man, it's just not the same because we already got to see it here. A War Machine, Giant Man's turning big now, but he needed orange slices afterwards. Oh, what a great moment. Ant-Man had his moment. You would think that, man, we got all these superheroes, but Ant-Man's going to have his shine? Yeah, he did. That's the reason why the whole fight stopped.
Yeah, and Ant-Man was amazing. I feel like in this movie, each character feels more than just a glorified cameo because they all played some kind of role at some extent. Like, we had the more personal connection with Black Panther losing his father in the mix of that. And we got Black Widow that's like, my friend is on the opposite side, so I will actually backstab my team. That was so endearing. And they fought each other, but none of them really wanted to hurt each other. So
They're
that
all going
was
easy.
yeah. That was kind of heartbreaking. The true fight where I won't
Only
say
Black Panther seemed to intentionally be out for blood.
even
Yeah,
there,
that's what
I'd
happens when
say
your
no.
dad dies.
Yeah.
I'd say it wasn't intentionally going out of the for the blood for everyone. I think
But only
for
some.
Bucky it was. I think
Yeah, he was the only one who was out for blood, not for all blood, but who specifically had the intent of getting violently after someone. And
Yeah. Um, but again, I really enjoyed it. That was more than just glorified cameos. Each character felt like the characters we were following in the other movie
yeah,
they had just before, or in future movie they would get, and that was fun. That's just a good experience. So I know DC has a very different take. So before I go any further, I will let DC shit on that movie all he wants because he hated this movie. So DC, what did you think of Captain America: Civil War?
Yeah, this film has a lot of problems. For starters, let's start with the plot. So the plot was essentially like superheroes cause destruction, and the government is not okay with it. Well, normally this kind of thing wouldn't be a problem if I say it again, if it happened like months ago. Like comparing this film with Batman v Superman, they've literally showed the timeline that after Man of Steel, 18 months later. However, we still so that's why even then the government is still new to Superman, and it still makes sense, and that's why I think in that film it works well. Yes, of course, Multi left. Multi. Okay. Other things. This film very easily just decided to force Spider-Man in. Like I said, Spider-Man is Marvel's worst character in general. Like I'd say, out of all the Marvel heroes, if I had to pick the one who I hate the most, it'd be Spider-Man.
But
That's in the
why?
comic.
Why, bro?
I mean, first off, he's literally just meant to be Marvel's Batman.
Not
Like,
necessarily.
How? Because he has
Yeah,
um,
lots of villains.
not just villains, but even backstory. Which even then, like, like even their backstories are actually kind of similar. Both lost someone important to them, that being Batman's parents and Uncle Ben, and that's why it shaped them who they are. Like,
but I think they are very different. Like Batman is darker. He's
not
broody. He's like
really,
not
not
something
really,
that's. He's
not
not
really,
necessarily. He's not
not really.
necessarily.
Go
He's
on.
not. He is not necessarily someone that trusts others, and he is more of a hardcore adult. While Spider-Man is more of a teenager that's like learning how to grow up and such. And I think that's the essence of Spider-Man. It's like growing up, having more responsibility, more stuff on your shoulders. And Batman stuff is more like the sense of justice, like what's right, what's wrong. That's why he has the no delete rule to be YouTube friendly. Um, so I think they are very different characters with very different reason to be there and very different stories to tell. But I guess you have
Um,
your take.
yeah, but multi maybe if you maybe it's because you probably don't know much of Spider-Man and Batman at this point. So I know a lot more, and I can definitely say that Spider-Man is way too similar to Batman. So maybe that's the thing. So maybe you're not as familiar with Batman and Spider-Man, like say me. Like, so I think that's the case. But yeah, I'll continue. Um, they forced Spider-Man into the trailer just to get people hype,
Yep.
which is a very greedy idea, I have to say. Like, people talk about greedy. It's like, how is that not greedy? Like,
It's like having Argyle, like Henry Cavill showing up for Argyle in the trailer, but he's like in 4 minutes in the entire 2 hour movie.
But Captain America was the majority of the trailer, not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I get that, but it's like, you know what they could have done is actually use Daredevil in the trailer, but then actually reveal that it was actually Spider-Man in the film.
I don't know.
Okay. Um,
They
You
were
uh,
have
so
very
messy.
specific takes, DC.
yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not done yet, so, Black Panther being, I feel like Black Panther at best was average, like average. He wasn't horrible like Spider-Man was, which I'll get to that later. Uh, I just thought his character was just average. He wasn't important at all. The main villain, Baron Zemo, was the most disrespected since the Mandarin. I'd still say Mandarin was still more disrespectful, but Baron Zemo, they just completely butchered him. Only now are they starting to get his character right. His
Bro,
character,
they're doing that in, but yeah, problem is, did that in that Falcon show. But honestly, I'd rather bash myself with the shield than watch the show.
is like
This is
only just
something we'll cover, so maybe you should try it. Maybe it's
I
better.
bet I might lose my eyes and pick. I've seen reviews and that's enough. I think I might pull an eye out if I try to watch. I don't know. I'll see if I can tolerate it, but not making any promises.
yeah. Also, Rosales, please join. Yeah, yeah. All
Unless
right.
you don't think highly of the Black Panther in 2016 Civil War, then don't join.
That's fine. I think highly of Civil War, so you are not alone, Chillmonger. Maybe DC is alone in this corner,
Yeah.
but
Like literally for all these MCU ones, I'm always alone. So that's
hell yeah.
why, like I like with Avengers 2012, I was alone. I think with Guardians of the Galaxy, I was alone. Um, yeah.
Oh, I will send a proper link to. I won't send it on chat because I know it can be weird. So I will send it to Chill so Chill can send you a fresh one. I hope it will work.
All right. Anyways,
We should like follow each other on Twitter. I think that would be easier. I think.
Yeah.
I just like how you
I'm
guys are having this conversation just now when I'm very
sorry,
professional.
DC. I'm
It's
I'm
fine.
multitasking. I'm listening, but I also speak out loud. I should not.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, so my other problems, like, um, Winter Soldier, I thought his inclusion, well, makes sense given from the second film. I just find it weird that he didn't even had a reference in Age of Ultron, unless I missed something, which I probably did. But at this point, I really couldn't care less about Marvel movies anymore. Um, hello, Rosales. Yeah.
Welcome. Sorry, we keep disrupting you, DC. That's life, man. Sorry, life is
Please
harsh
continue.
sometimes. Yeah,
All
continue.
right. All right. So, uh, Scarlet Witch and Vision's crappy relationship, at least when Scarlet, because they both join opposite teams, is terrible. And the fact that Vision just joins Team Iron Man for literally no reason other than to show up just to make the fight more fair is
Uh,
really bad.
DC, I
Okay.
think you may misunderstand why Vision is on Tony's side.
He kind of created him.
Yeah. That was like the purpose of making Vision.
Isn't some of Vision Jarvis?
Yeah.
Not
So
the
that
best reason
yeah.
to join, but okay. Um. Yeah. The fact that they didn't even mention Hulk or Thor is
Actually, I'd be wrong with. You say Spider-Man is Marvel's worst character. You're wrong.
And
It's
they
She-Hulk.
didn't mention Hulk.
She-Hulk is the no.
Well,
Actually, I'd say
they didn't mention Hulk, but they were like he's not available, he's in space or something like that. I know they mentioned him. But as of Thor, if I remember correctly, their excuse was like he's occupied in his corner of the galaxy or something.
yeah. All
I'm
right.
pretty sure they addressed both.
All right.
well, it's related to the events of Ragnarok that happened later
Yeah,
because
from Age of Ultron to Ragnarok, but yeah. I'm almost done. I'm just gonna give my few. All right, time for the big one. The big one you all boys have been waiting for. Spider-Man. God, they did him so bad in this film, and the
Oh
fact they had to
boy.
make Empire Strikes Back reference is essentially the film that is so bad. Like I don't even think that reference was even necessary. like it makes it hard for me to watch. I could barely take him seriously, and to be honest, this Spider-Man sucks in general. He's not funny. He's very bad, and like in fact, he posts this on YouTube. Yeah. Like I'm gonna become a vigilante and save people and upload it on YouTube. That's not a good idea. And second, that's actually easier to get your identity tracked. Spider-Man, in case you didn't know. Um, Spider-Man also like how does Tony even find Spider-Man's apartment in the beginning? That that feels like so much of a plot convenience because as smart as Spider-Man is, there's no way he's going to find a random nobody in the middle of a
He,
city.
he
Like
has tech.
doesn't matter. Yes, tech.
That
It really
yes,
did.
he has very advanced tech, and he clearly has shown Peter that he knows about his secrets. So it's obvious that off
He
screen
knew
and
beforehand that look,
yeah,
Iron Man is supposed to be like one of the smartest guys on the planet.
yeah.
Yeah. By
It's a
smart, you mean the fact that he would literally give away his address to a terrorist, and yeah, that sounds like Albert
that
Einstein.
that's because he was emotionally broken during that movie. He was dealing with PTSD. He was just doing stupid shit because sometimes people do stupid shit. That doesn't mean you're stupid. Like, I know that may sound weird, but I know a lot of smart people that sometimes do stupid shit.
Well, let's just say that the Iron Man
Besides,
had.
Iron,
Look, if you look at Iron Man, so he seemed to be a lot of times. It seemed like his mind was a bit of downward spiral, and until he somewhat peaked. He got up, he got better during Endgame, and then he died. Okay, if you see a bit of, well, he has. Uh,
I I gotta say, like, I can see where you are coming from about Tony knowing about Peter, but again, I do think a lot of Ed Cannon could work. Now, granted, it could have been better if we have seen on screen how Tony tracked down Peter, but again, he is smart, he has tech, and I think that would just be a scene you don't necessarily need. Um,
he already look.
I
He already look. He already had first camera footage. Probably could notice and put to it. Look, this is a guy who, in a matter of in a matter of a minute, developed time travel.
yeah, and
well,
that's the guy
that's
that
very that
almost
again
destroyed the
that's
planet.
very plot convenient that he's able to do something like that because realistically or literally, there's no way even a guy even as smart as Tony can even develop something like that in less than like 5 minutes. It will take at least 10, probably 50 years.
Actually, because he got the theoretic Ant-Man provided, the theory that could lead, that the theory that could lead to it with the mention of how time flew differently for him, and logically it could be. And when he thought about it,
Oh,
I
and
or
then
I just like a lot Rosales' face right now. He's like, what did I walk into? Since the start, man. Respect. You're just very
yeah.
entertaining, man. Just
Well,
watch.
if you think about what Tony Stark does, he talks to his computer and the computer does everything for him. So it's more like Chat GPT came up with time travel than it is that Tony Stark came up with time
well,
travel.
actually, he had a theory. It's like,
So
wait, if that could work, and how would it's like if we did this, it could theoretically
but the
you put
question
the theory together, and then he managed to get an answer. You know,
But it wasn't
as
the first
then
answer. It
he's
but
was
then
not the first answer. The first answer wasn't right. He'd been going at it for a while, and they don't really tell us how long he'd
actually
been
he
going
didn't
at it.
actually quite. Actually,
But
he wasn't really thinking about it.
yeah,
he, you know,
but
he
then the
went
question
after
Look,
it, but he
becomes
he
didn't
was
move
he
right
had a
away.
family. It's only when Ant-Man put the idea in his head that
Yeah, and he worked on it. He couldn't stop thinking about it, so he worked on it. He put his computer on it, and he had it done. But obviously, he had a sandwich at some point, and it's they don't really cover a whole lot of time. When they put these movies together, a scene happens here, and then they cut to another scene right here, and sometimes it's a few minutes, sometimes it's a half hour, sometimes it's an hour and a half, 2 days. So there's really no time in a film that's only going to be about 2.5 hours long to cover everything, including the detective work to find Spider-Man. That's they're not going to be able to cover all that, and if they did cover all that, you probably wouldn't watch it because that's not the movie you came to see. You didn't come to see the finding and searching for of Spider-Man, or sitting down and watching Stephen Hawking coming with the theory. You came to watch Iron Man and these guys go back in time and pull a heist, like it's Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11 with superpowers.
You can literally have like a 5-minute scene of them trying to look for Spider-Man. A 5-minute scene. That's simple.
5 minutes is too long of looking for Spider-Man.
For the time travel stuff, I still find that hard to believe. Like, how can a piece of computer technology from 2015, 2016, or like around that time, find a way to time travel?
I know what's going on, DC. I know what is going on. Now I think I understand what's going on in your mind.
They went to a moon. They went to the moon with less technology than you have on your phone right now.
DC has been infected by The Walking Dead. That's why he wants a 5-minute scene about them searching for Peter. You want filler.
Bro, I've had issues with the Marvel movies even before I watched The Walking Dead. So,
look, the thing is, Tony has a computers way more advanced than what we'll probably live to see. He made his tech himself. Look, his technology is beyond what we'll probably see in our lifetime. Assuming, and that's even if we assume that a war doesn't wipe out humanity.
Yeah,
and that holographic tech.
I also gotta say something. I can't believe I will say that, but suspension of disbelief. Because you brought how did Tony came up with something within a minute? It's like, it's sci-fi. It's a movie about people flying around. So
the guy who literally, this is a guy who managed to make a weapon of a one army weapon in a
prison with a box of scraps.
Exactly. He's smart. He's crafty. He could make this just like he could make this. He could make a computer that could, he could make the tech. He could make
But even then, I think in that scene where him able to make some technology in a cave still makes sense given the type of technology he made. So I think in that film, in that case, it actually works and actually makes sense. I think anybody as smart as Tony can do that. So yeah. So that's why.
Nah, in universe, the arc react. Never mind. Keep going. I sound like a nerd. I know. Yeah, you're right. I hear what you're trying to say. If the materials there were not foreign, right? That's what you meant.
I'm just gonna continue with my problems because I have a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, Spider-Man, he's the worst character. There's nothing good about him. He's easily by far the worst MCU character in general.
Oh, you're wrong. With so many characters introduced in Phase 4, but that's so much worse. Look, if you do top 10 worst, and they're all. No. She-Hulk is the worst. There's no. It's like a. She-Hulk. Look, anyone who defends She-Hulk likely probably has about the same. You might. If you're gonna defend She-Hulk, but maybe you should be
about comic books or She-Hulk from the TV show.
That's the thing. I'm not defending She-Hulk. I get it's a terrible show, but even She-Hulk as a character at least it makes somewhat sense, even if she just comes into
You
the
didn't
picture
see.
with
Look, DC, I will cut you ear. Sorry to say that, but you haven't seen it. You only heard stuff about the show, so
I know
I
what
don't
happened.
think you're in the. I get it. Like you know the premise and such, but you haven't seen the show. Like you have seen someone's point of view on the show. So
I've
this means um it's an opinion of someone else and not really
I've
yours because you
I,
haven't seen it for yourself.
I've seen a clip and it was bad. It literally made me quit. Yeah, I was like, I'm glad I said, but I would say even She-Hulk makes a little bit more sense than Spider-Man.
Nah, if you actually see the full show, which I haven't, because honestly, I'm not that I'm not a I'm because honestly, I'm not gonna pull my I don't want to pull my eyes out in agony.
So
And also
Showmonger,
mostly, yes,
do
I
you
do.
agree with
I
DC? You have seen it.
Short answer is no.
obviously, of
Yeah.
course, I'm always alone. That's great.
She's the
Yeah,
worst. She's the worst. Mavis never get a second season ever again. And may anyone who thinks there's a second season never get a job
she
again.
believes- What if she believes she wants a second season? Tatiana Maslany was saying some nice things about Bob. You know what? Bob Iger, he was out of touch when we were all on strike. And then she had you guys all saw the news article. So she goes, when you're in the picket lines, you don't really get what did she say? She said, you can't really concentrate on saying things. And, it's not like a written statement. She said some stupid, like she was retracting her statement basically about Bob Iger.
Yeah, it's something like she's trying to get into his good graces to get a second season because her
That's
career is.
Disney Plus, guys. She will get it, I swear.
That's
I
assuming
hated
Disney
this
Plus.
show,
That's
but she will get
assuming
it.
that's assuming Disney Plus lasts that long. Also, at this rate, it might not.
It will. It will. They're going to merge it with Hulu, and then drop the Hulu name and call that Disney Plus. So
And
Disney
then
will
they'll
still
probably,
survive.
yeah. Well, that's just yeah. Well, let's see how long.
The
I don't know.
classic brand of Disney is still very good and strong, even if what they put out is not necessarily good anymore. The brand is still like it looks good for normies that are away from the internet. Like
Well, I mean, many movies have flopped. I mean, there's been multiple flops in a row. The Marvels,
I
it's a
I know,
flop.
but
Ant-Man,
again,
it's a flop.
again, normies they don't know about that. So
Yeah, but
I will
they
bring a
don't know
good
about this, but apparently Norway still started realizing when a movie's terrible. I mean, they didn't show up to the Marvels, they didn't show up to Ant-Man 3.
I will say this, Overlord. My mother is a normie out of the internet and such, and she has her Disney Plus subscription, and she's watching bunch of stuff there. Like she doesn't have Netflix, but she has Disney Plus, and I know she's not the only one. I know it's a powerful brand. Again, this Overlord. Like what I mean is, even if it's not peak Disney right now, even if it's not necessarily working well right now with present day stuff, the past talks to people. Nostalgia
Well,
talks to people.
it's less and less. Uh,
Not really.
Disney's not. There's not been. Disney Plus has been going kind of down. If apparently, of course, Disney Plus
Yeah,
been going kind of down, and
but it's
movies have.
normal for any streaming platform. It's a constant among all of the streaming
Well,
platforms.
some go
It's
up, some
always
go
happened.
down, and but Disney, but some some go up, some go down, and stuff. And I'll say,
They
so
will
and
they
the
were
movie,
aiming too high and they flew too close from the sun. They burned. But
yeah.
they
The
will make
viewership for
money.
Disney Plus um, this past month was right there alongside of Tubi. So Tubi is right on par. I think they're like within a portion of a point. It's like 1.6 and 1.4, I think, and Tubi is 1.4. So they are just almost neck and neck when it comes to viewership with Tubi, and their lead has gone down over the past 3 months. So as far as viewership is concerned, for Disney Plus, they're losing it, and the churn of viewers is really bad. And really, the only thing that they got looking forward to this time around is Inside Out 2. So if that doesn't perform well, they've got serious issues because
Hopefully,
that's their original
hopefully it
property.
performs poorly.
Well, they just first they pull out of nowhere something that just raises questions. Like these other emotions weren't in the other heads, even in some adults that are older than the parents. They didn't exist. Like, how could they explain someone that by all means that didn't exist? It's the equivalent of it'd be it's almost like it'd be almost like if it's
I
like
dare.
I'm looking at the list of upcoming Disney movies. Planet of the Apes counts because it's Fox, but I don't think that counts really.
Yeah.
Inside Out 2 coming in June, like you said, and that could be $1 billion movie. You never know with the kids. You never know.
Yeah,
I mean with the
yeah,
I mean with elementals
that project and just come up with an actual good project, please.
Deadpool will make money. I don't know how much it will make, but I can bet they will make money on that one.
probably
I have no
probably
clue how much, but I know they will make money.
Moana 2.
Well, I mean,
I want to just
the only reason
share
that
with you. Go ahead.
the only reason why Deadpool and Wolverine would probably make money is because we have Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine, and we have all the other, and then we can officially have a Marvel, like a normal Marvel universe. That's the only reason why Deadpool 3 would even make money.
But that's a reason. As much
Meanwhile,
as
Inside
I
Out there.
don't like the idea, it's a reason.
It's
What
not.
Meanwhile,
by any means necessary, as
look,
we say.
Deadpool Wolverine probably do perform better than Inside Out 2. At least that's what I'm getting. I mean, I don't hear much excitement, even from the normies. I don't hear much. They're just confusion. I think they seem more confused with the question because even like I'm sure even the kid would be like, what were these emotions and like in the other heads?
I don't know.
Maybe she's broken.
You know what? Maybe yeah, or maybe it's just I think I think it's simply that the writers are letting fear take over, and fear is just slamming the desk with writing ideas nonsense, like just panic mode, like I think it's just I'm just assuming they're just panicking idiots who couldn't make a story that makes sense even if their lives depended on it.
So I gotta say that was a nice.
I mean,
segment.
I don't even expect an answer. I mean, Civil War, no, not this Civil War, but that A24 one didn't give us an answer. So, I simply expect if he's just not going to answer, or if they're just going to, rewrite it so that apparently they were always there, but for some reason, it's like I don't expect a lot something that makes sense. I expect either a terrible answer that makes that makes as much sense as Zoidberg's house burned down because Bender left his cigar underwater.
Wow.
Or no answer.
I'm wondering how you made that one work. So DC, do you want to add more into your unique takes?
Yeah, because I was not done before we went on that long tangent.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Anyway,
we don't have Jaded, but we have his spirits in the room.
We have now. I'm gonna talk about that final fight between Captain America and Winter Soldier with Iron Man. That fight was very lame because let's be honest, like the trailer, the fact that they made it like look like Captain America actually killed Iron Man. First off, that would never happen. Even in the comics, Captain America would never kill Iron Man. That's just not the case. yeah, there was that point in the comics. Thor didn't hold back and literally almost beat him to death, but that was different. Plus, it actually made sense in that case. Um, Winter Soldier losing that robotic arm. Sorry, I didn't feel anything. I really did not. Because he's never been like a major player in the MCU. He's only like a supporting character at best. So that's why I didn't feel anything. That reveal for me, I feel like was just forced. Plus, the fact that they had to have that be like the main like, there's also like it just didn't work. And but I think one of the worst things about the film for me is the fact that after that, the Avengers essentially no longer are like disbanded. Um, and it's clear that they just did that because they wanted to make room for the fact that, oh, with the Avengers disassembling, this is like the worst time for them to disassemble because Thanos is coming, and it clearly was just forced. It was just forced.
I
Yeah,
disagree, but
of
do you
course.
want on more?
Um, I think the team, which side are you on stuff, did not work. Unlike in BVS, where it actually makes sense. You can actually see Batman's perspective. You can see Superman's
Why?
perspective.
Why do you
You
bring BVS?
Bro, it's
and
like the worst example. Even me, I was the biggest defender of BVS ever, okay? But I realized after thinking back, I was
Yeah,
dead stupid to stand behind that movie.
yeah. I think I'm
I'm
good.
sorry, DC, but
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, that's God, making such mistake. I feel like breaking batarangs and I don't know, maybe sticking one in my eye or something.
I'm excited for the day we talk about the DCEU stuff, including BVS. That's in a long time, I will admit. But
I have seen BVS, so
me
I
too. But that's not yet in the planning.
yeah. I mean,
DC,
yeah,
DC. We will have a backstage talk about your takes.
yeesh. can I can I
I don't think
can I
we should.
join in?
But I know that that's not going to happen. Like I'm literally smart enough to know that that's not what what backstages are for. But yeah. Other than that, I'm done with my take on Civil War. It took a lot of tangents, but I'm done finally.
So I gotta say, the Sokovia Accord made sense because we got Hero blowing up stuff and people die and people aren't happy anymore. So of course the different government will be like, we need to make laws about it. And it actually makes sense that there would be a divide between the Avengers, because if every Avengers would be on the same side, there would be no movie, no conflict,
And
no
we actually see
script,
also the general beliefs of the various
characters, and
event.
they are in different place because they have different stories and they have different character arc, and it's not forced at all. It's just part of it. It made sense.
Yeah, actually, if you know the characters, you know their stances, their beliefs, and you see how the characters that's their story. You see a bit, you know,
Would
and
okay? I will ask you something, DC. Would you say it was filler, the scene where the old lady came to Tony to tell her I lost someone during the Sokovia assault when you fought Hulk or something? Would you say that scene was filler, DC?
I don't even remember that scene.
I remember it.
I don't even remember
Yeah,
that. I've
I
literally
remember.
talked about.
that
So
was a very important scene for Tony characterization in that conflict, because that person brought question the way things were done before, and it also revealed that Tony, even if he hides behind the I don't care shield, he does care,
yeah, but that's not
and
like his
this is
problem.
why
Though. The
it takes
problem,
place against it.
The problem with me with that
or
story,
for it, I should say.
this could literally happen for almost any other conflicts with the Avengers in the previous MCU films, but they don't have that. So that's kind of my problem with it.
Because it's Civil War. They didn't need to. You made Rosales quit, bro. But that was the point. They felt right, and I also agree with their approach. It worked well, and again, it would make sense a lot for Captain America to be against the Sokovia Accord because of what happened in Winter Soldier, and he realized, oh, I was on the wrong side, thinking I was on the right side. So therefore, that accord would just allow more of that shenanigans to happen. So this is why Cap is against the Sokovia, and the reason Tony is for the Sokovia, it's because of that meeting with the girl, and him realizing maybe people should check on what they are doing. Because nobody was checking on him, and he was doing like a mess. Like in Iron Man 2, he was like dead drunk and he was doing stupid shit. He kind of realized, oh, yeah, if people check on what I was doing, maybe I wouldn't have done that many stupid stuff. And he also realized with Tree that his trauma and such was actually putting in danger people around him. So again, it makes sense that now you realize, oh, maybe people should look after us, like look at what we are doing, and like Tony is also the big superstar, he's known, he's Iron Man and such, and now he recruits Peter, right? And Peter is just fanboying over that celebrity, and now that celebrity is trying to reach out to him. Of course, he will side with him because now he realized, oh, someone acknowledged me, and that's someone I respect. So if you take each character on each side, it makes sense that they would be on that side. Brody is another great example. He was actually fighting with Tony for Iron Man 2 and 3 for like, oh, we need to control you more. Like, you're out of control. We need to control you more. So, of course, it would be for the Sokovia Accord because he's a military guy that kept going after Tony because Tony was messing up. So, I'm sure if you really look into it, you could find valid reason why people stand for or against. I won't do it because it's not a full on dive deep into such. It's just me trying to tell you, DC, that maybe you should rewatch the movie and trying to understand it. Because there's actually substance to it. While the other movie is just empty, shallow, and bad. Anyway, that was my small talk about it. I'm very curious about Rosales' comic opinion on that. Because you're the new guest that just joined in. What did you think of Civil War?
It was nothing like the comics. They had a hard chore in adapting Civil War because there was a lot of characters they couldn't use. There was a lot of characters that were not available to them that they had not yet introduced. They had a whole lot of story to pack in and had to make it make sense within the confines of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So some people got replaced here and there, and some storylines were completely dropped. At the last minute, they were able to get Spider-Man in, who I think in either Civil War I or Civil War II exposed himself to the public in the comic books. So I mean, there was a lot going on that they had to fit in a short amount of time to put it in. As far as Brody choosing to side with Iron Man, where he'd normally be on the other side, I think he regrets doing that because he wouldn't have got blasted if he had stuck with his guns on picking on Tony and saying you're doing the wrong thing. But I do like the characterization of Tony's paranoia growing over these 10, 15 films. Because essentially what he is one of these eccentric, rich billionaires like Howard Hughes, who developed tech, helped with the war effort, and eventually, through his own paranoia, locked himself up in Las Vegas and wouldn't touch anybody, became a germaphobe. Whereas Tony, on the other hand, did things like create Ultron to protect the world and wound up halfway destroying it and leading to the Civil War thing where he basically helped lock up his friends in jail. So that particular take, I think, is the through line of everything, regardless of anything else. It's the disassembly of Tony Stark, if you will, as he makes his way through the movie and goes further and further down this paranoid rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a good picture of it, man. Nice analysis. I like it. Nice. Do you want to add more about your take on Civil War? That's you having the ground now, the floor.
Well, I do like their presentation of Spider-Man, especially with the eyes, because that will reach to us old school fans who remember the before Spider-Man and his amazing friends. There was a 60s, 70s Spider-Man, and that's where the initial eye movement comes in with the limited animation to give him expression. And that in itself inspired a lot of the maker community to go out and recreate that in real life. So a lot of the cosplayers out there that are now wearing the Spider-Man masks do have the articulated eyes that were done digitally in the movie. They're doing things in real life that they didn't do in real life in the movie, which I think is kind of incredible. But um, I they did cut some corners in getting to, well, you're on that side, I'm on this side, we need to beat each other up. But that is a trope of comic books that they had skipped for a long time, which is uh, superheroes meet up and fight each other before they wind up teaming up together. That is a seriously tired trope, but they in Civil War, that's the premise of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now I'm even more curious to read more of these comics. That sounds amazing. So now I will kind of talk about other stuff I didn't mention yet. My issue, because I only had one issue: plot armor on everyone that is normal human and that fought the Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier would crush them since he got super strength. That was early in the movie. That was before the airport. There was an action sequence with like Iron Man with his glove. I think Shala was somewhat involved.
He
Black
had
Widow was involved.
okay. The fighting was appropriate to their power set, the ability to evade and all Black Widows, she can take a punch, that kind of stuff. Then there's the Iron Man hand, which took the brunt of and his limited suit was
Yeah.
was enough of an explanation. And Black Panther has powers even if he's not wearing a suit. So
They
there
got
you go.
it hard, man. I was like, one of them should have like broken bones or something. At least, like, they're lucky, they're lucky. That kind of stuff bothers me, man. I'm fine with super strength, but make it consistent. If he can bend through steel, like he can bend through bones, no issue with it whatsoever. Be consistent. But yeah, that's my only nitpick. That's my nitpick level. And again, that's why earlier when I mentioned I hate saying that, but suspension of disbelief here, I just can't. When I see people getting hit by like stuff that can bend steel and not like losing bones or arms, it's like no.
These guys have been like out like heroes for years, so I'm pretty sure like a guy with a robotic arm punching them really wouldn't even be like the only thing that would hurt. Plus,
It's Black Widow, bro. She's a human. She's a super assassin, right? But she is well trained and stuff. But it doesn't matter how much training you got. If you get hit by a truck, you get hit by a truck. It's as simple as that.
didn't she Never mind. I'm not even gonna about.
She
I
did
think she's
get
related to
punched.
John Wick.
I was literally gonna point out this is like after Age of Ultron, so it's like Ultron hits probably harder than Winter Soldier. So I don't get it. I don't get it. So
I kind of thought with Black Panther that wasn't that bad as the others because like Kanasumi is maybe slightly above than the regular human because of the technology there and like the ritual and the suit and all of that. We can maybe say maybe he's slightly above human, and on top of that, when he wears the suit, he's able to like outrun cars, like in the sequence where they were chasing after Bucky. So, I could understand why he could tank punches, but Black Widow and Iron Man, I'm sorry, but no, I don't buy it. I just don't. So
okay.
I enjoyed. Look, I thought this most recent watch was my favorite because I had seen the MCU before up to at least the end of Phase 3. Phase 4, I haven't seen most of it. I've seen like I don't know if that was Phase 4, but I've seen She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and Moon Knight. That's like the Phase 4 stuff I've
Yeah,
seen.
that's Phase 4 for the most part. Yeah.
I've
Phase-
also
I
seen
think
parts
Phase
of No
5
Way
starts.
Home.
I think Phase 5 starts with Ant-Man 3. So anything before Ant-Man 3 is Phase 4.
Oh, I've also seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. That thing is
Movie
the
of all time,
worst movie I've. Well, maybe not of all time. We actually were able to find worse, but that's the worst comic book movie I've seen. I truly hate Wakanda Forever.
Man, remember the
bad.
time when we kept lambasting on that Fantastic Four 2015 one?
that film.
I miss those days when that was considered like the bottom of the. Honestly, do you think what we managed to regularly get things worse than that?
I've actually seen the Marvels. I completely forgot about that one. I liked it. I thought that was a bad movie that I liked, but I liked it.
Guilty
It's
pleasure.
like, yeah, guilty pleasure, exactly.
Um,
That movie I liked.
Honestly, I see more I'd see more like a movie. Like that movie was. I mean, it deserved to flop.
Not really. To be honest, it had something, man. Like considering we had like Blue Beetle that year, we had Shazam 2. Well, we actually had
We
nice
also had
movies outside of the Flash.
Aquaman
Those
2.
nice movies. I
Aquaman
haven't
2,
seen that
terrible.
one because of Third.
Yeah, that movie's honestly, it's probably like the worst way to end the DCU. I mean,
Oh,
I
really?
thought-
That bad?
no,
Damn,
I mean,
I thought
because
MBS would
mainly
remain
it's
there.
because namely because of how it of how it just feels like just feels like a terrible way to a terrible final note. I mean, just the disappointment. It's just like honestly, just feels like the movie is so the movie just feels like one of the. I mean, okay, maybe the Flash could have been. I mean, but I mean, honestly, they should have ended it with the Snyder cut. Of the Snyder cut would have been a better way to end the ECU. And they're like, okay, that's it.
Or Blue
There was
Beetle.
nothing after.
I like Blue Beetle.
That movie just seemed like I mean, just seemed like I mean, someone saying it just goes nowhere. I mean, the very moment they announced that they were ending it, just everything felt like
It's failing.
what's the point? It's not gonna lead to anything and barely seems to just seems like it starts something, but we know for a fact there's nothing gonna come out of that. So
Yeah. So I really enjoyed Civil War. That was very fun to
so have I.
rewatch. Um the action was great. The characters were even better than what I remembered. And again, I disagree with most of these issues.
So do
Yeah.
I.
Yeah, I think you guys should know that for all the MCU ones, I'm gonna be alone. Because I mean, I hated Guardians of the Galaxy 2014 and 2012's Avengers. I gave them both 1.5. Yeah, that's just a small glimpse as to how lonely I'll be. I'll be lonely for almost all of them. Probably
Maybe not, because I know down the line there are movies that are universally disliked.
no.
Captain Marvel.
Not when we're talking about Marvel though, because I'm almost confident for the rest of the MCU, I'm gonna be the only lonely one, the only smart lonely guy, which is sad. But what are you gonna do about it?
Rant about it. So again, solid movie, and the characterization was like peak MCU for my liking, or in my opinion, I should say. Now, I don't have much more to say, and yeah, I think I will give Avengers or Captain America: Civil War uh, a 9.8 out of 10, really close to a 10. What about you, Rosales?
It's a solid 7.
Okay, very interesting. What about you, Chillmonger?
It's a solid 10. At the time I saw it, it was my favorite movie that ever happened. And a year later, I would have a new favorite movie. And then a year later, I'd have a third new favorite movie.
That's the golden era, you know.
Yeah.
What
So
about you,
is it a
DC?
10 for? Is it's upon rewatching it and replacing it with another 10? Doesn't it go down a notch?
No,
Or
no. There's a lot of movies that can be 10. It's okay.
okay,
Yeah, same here. Look, one movie I was surprised about that we will talk about in a few moments. It's amazing for me, and it's on par with another movie we covered in the past. So
Uh,
anyway, DC, what would be your grade for Civil War?
a 2.
2 out of 10. That's very DC like. And Overlord, I believe your grade was a 8 because you gave it like before everyone else. Am
Yeah.
I right on that? Okay, well, thank you a lot, Overlord. If you want to stick around for the rest, you can. But if you need to go or anything, because that's the only movie you've seen, you are free to go if you want.
Okay. Yeah. So have a nice day, everyone. Have a nice evening and enjoy the rest of the
Take care.
podcast.
See ya.
Take care. Have a
See
great
you
day,
next week.
Overlord.
Yeah, see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
So here we are, timestamp. Topic number 1 over. Let's move on to Ant-Man. Um, Civil War, Captain America: Civil War. So I will let Rosales start on that one. What did you think of the first Ant-Man movie? We don't really talk about the next ones because it's much later down the road. But what did you think of the first Ant-Man?
I was a little disappointed that it wasn't about Hank Pym. I was really curious how they were going to cover the spousal abuse angle from the comic books. That was completely blown out of proportion. I think, in actuality, in the comic book sense, it was a mistake that he smacked her. He wasn't like trying to smack her around and put her in her place. But as things happen in comic books, sometimes things are taken and just really, really blown out. So the idea of them going with someone who wasn't Hank Pym um, just kind of didn't sit so well for me. I mean, Paul Rudd is a non-aging, affable person, and he pretty much plays the same character over and over again. So it was like watching Paul Rudd in cosplay. I think it would have been a lot more interesting if they had let um, Edgar Wright, I believe his name is, do the version that he wanted to, that inspired them to make the movie, the little short teaser that he made so that he could direct the Ant Man. But Feige had his thing that he wants to do. So, you got to go do the Feige way or you're not going to get to do anything. And they got rid of him.
That's
Um,
sad.
I thought the movie was fine. Um, I I I just it wasn't my favorite movie, but it was fine.
Okay. And what about you, Chomonger? What did you think of Ant-Man?
You see, yeah, while we understand Ant-Man has like it doesn't have the gravitas, we know what Ant-Man means. And so I saw it with Ant-Man expectations. I didn't see it in the movie theaters. It was a Netflix watch, okay? So by 2015, I saw I don't know, maybe 3 of Marvel movies in theaters by 2015. So it wasn't a cultural phenomenon to me yet. And I saw it on Netflix. I thought, wow, I was loving it. I was like, oh, this is great. Like Marvel just expanded it to a new year. Like they did it again. And I started going like, do they have bad movies at all? Because every time you wonder like, oh, this is the one this is the one that's gonna, and I kept being impressed by it. The movie specifically though, because they had that group, that team that with Dave, with Luis, right? And the other dude, Baba Yaga dude, the Russian dude, I think. Like that it was a familial group that had nothing to do with the rest. It still felt like it was in universe because there was slide shots at Tony Stark and everything. I liked seeing the connections like Howard Stark, not Pepper, Miss Carter, Agent Carter, Peggy Carter was in there also, and that was like nice to see. And I was like, wait, that woman kind of looks like from the first Captain America movie, and I'm putting these connections together. It was a rewarding feeling to see something that is most certainly within Marvel. It was a Marvel movie and the powers made sense. I wasn't sick of Origins at this point at all, and they came through with the ending with this guy who has this amazing power, right? Amazing ability to shrink himself, and he kind of figured out how to get out the quantum realm. So it was sci-fi. It had a reason for why it wasn't. It wasn't. It had a reason. The story, the plot was necessary. Everything needed to be secret. This technology is secret, and that's why it's not the world-ending event. They tried to get it there, which was what the villain wanted to do, but they kept it secret for a reason. It was, and he kisses his daughter at the ending too. It promoted kind of the happy stuff we like to see, and it was a superhero movie that didn't get tired. Great movie, great outing. Like that's what I'm talking about. I need more of these types of films and introductions of new heroes. And then we get to what happens in Civil War where he just shows up, right? And the only guy he knew there was Falcon. Yeah, I like this.
I feel like if we didn't add Ant-Man just before Civil War, we would be like, who the F is that guy?
Yeah.
We would be like, why is he there? Like, why do we need him? You know, like it felt justified to have Ant-Man just before, and I feel like it adds more to Ant-Man having Civil War right after. It's very well connected because he ends up, if I remember correctly, he was on Cap's side, so he was basically an outlaw again. But to understand like his struggle and like his arc, if we can call it that way, you need to see Ant-Man. He's like an ex-convict that wants to be better, to do the right thing, and he changed into more of a hero with that adventure. And he's like, oh, no more crimes, but he still ends up doing crimes because now it's for the right reasons. And it's a journey. I enjoyed it a lot. So it's kind of sad to hear that we didn't get the Edgar Wright version of it, but I'm still satisfied with what I got. I really like that movie. Um, I only had a few issues with it, more issues than the other two movie we covered today. So my first issue would be telling instead of showing how the mother got stuck into the quantum realm. It's just they're all lore, Easter egg, whatever. It's like, what if you just show us someone like getting stuck there, you know? That's more entertaining than just telling the viewer, oh, look, it happened. Okay, cool, it happened. Easter egg. Look, I have nothing against Easter egg. I just prefer to watch something, you know? It's just being told. It's sometimes it passes, you know, but others it doesn't for me. Next up would be comic relief character was just a conduit of bad jokes. He was also a filler character. So I don't even know his name. That was the guy that was like the best friend of Paul, Road character, Scott Lang. Like, I can't remember his name. That was the guy that gave the job to Scott.
Hank Pym.
No, not Hank Pym.
No, I
The
think he's
Mexican guy.
Yeah, exactly. Got it right, Rosales.
Yeah.
That guy. So I don't know the name of that character, but he wasn't needed at all. He was just like comic relief, and
Kind of like Spider.
sometimes some Spider-Man is more than that. DC, I'm sorry, but you need to rewatch like Civil War, man. He's more than just comic relief. Yes, he cracked jokes. Does this mean he's just comic relief? I don't think so. But yeah, that character I wasn't a fan of. I was like, okay, that character is pointless. Um, Next up would be humor didn't land. Example: the failed attempt at humor at the end of the movie inside the car during the operation. It's funny. I have a blank here. I marked detailed note, but I still can't remember. um, the villain of the movie was weak and forgettable, not funny and filler dialogue by the comic relief guy. So most of my issues are caused by this character. Like, why do we have this character? It's because I think they wanted to inject much more humor in the MCU because they were like, oh, it worked with Avenger, let's do it with everything. It worked with Guardian of the Galaxy, let's do it with everything. You don't need humor in every single thing. You just don't. I was glad with Civil War because it didn't add that syndrome. And I didn't feel like it had that syndrome with Doctor Strange, which is the last topic for later today. But in this movie, I felt it. It's like that character is really there just to crack bad jokes. So yeah, outside of that, I will admit, I enjoyed that movie. That was a fun movie. Even if a lot of the humor didn't work, a lot of it did work.
What does that mean? A lot of the humor didn't work. A lot did. That
It's
just
like
that
50-50.
establishes that there's a lot of humor. Was
50.
there more effective humor than there was ineffective humor? Yes, there was
Yeah,
more
yeah,
effective humor.
Well,
yeah.
50% of the
the
jokes worked, and 50% of the jokes didn't work, and
Yeah.
50%
Yeah.
of the jokes were in the middle.
yeah, yeah, and it's a
Like,
good
don't
thing
want
when
to-
you got like good joke that land, But that's also a bad thing when you got jokes that don't land. It's don't try so hard if you will miss as much as you succeed.
Yeah.
But you still succeed. Like, I'm someone that's very positive. I try to be, even if I don't sound like it in my review. I try to be like, when there's something positive, I will say it. Like, it's bare minimum. It's the basics. um I enjoyed the music and how the main character struggled to find a job because he's the ex-convict felt really, really, really real, even if it's sci-fi and such. I feel like in real life that's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
If you're an ex-convict, good luck finding a job. Or sometimes people will make fun of you because you're an ex-convict. Like in one of the job interview, they're like, "Oh, you didn't get the job because you're an ex-convict." And at some point, he is so desperate because he want that money, because he want that family back. He want his daughter back, but he needs money, so nobody hires him. So he's kind of forced into a life of crime again. Um, and that's interesting. I really like that premise and that story. And Ant-Man powers are really cool and entertaining. Um, I also enjoyed Pym. Pym is a really cool supporting character. Um, Maybe if he was the main character, that could have been interesting, like a prequel to Ant-Man, like Pym
Yeah.
trying to experiment his powers or the suit or whatever. That would kind of contradict current lore, but that could be fun, like a Pym spin-off or something.
Yeah, and I also, this is the one time I actually agree with Rosales. Yeah, I think Rosales is now ashamed that now I agree with him, because I do agree with him, because I actually read that comic where Hank Pym actually hits his wife. Which, yes, kids, Marvel is not for kids. In case nobody didn't know that, because I know that. Yeah, that's like, I think they should have included that in the MCU to show that this is actually not really much for kids. Which, yeah, and I don't care what traumatizes a kid. That's the point. But yeah, that's why I feel like it's all these things. Marvel can actually make good content. Just they don't care. They just care about, hey, we have a funny character. Let's have some action. But there's no development. There's no real good story. And same with Ant-Man. Like, the whole story of Scott being a ex-convict may sound good on paper, but that's on paper. And in the comics, it works well. In the films, they it doesn't work, because he gets a job like a donut or some ice cream shop, something like that. I don't know, but he's like wearing like a pink shirt. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, DC, I'm sorry again. It feels like another Shield case where you've heard many reviews and many people talking about it, so you made an opinion based on other people's opinion. And again,
I based it on my own opinion and my own experience with the MCU.
yeah, I think
So
it's a
I say I use other people's perspectives, because I my own. And because I've seen some clips of Ant-Man and didn't like it that much. Pym, terrible character. All he does is just shout the entire time, like half the MCU characters. Um, yeah, the opening scene, I just didn't care for it. A lot of these scenes are lame and all that.
Yeah, well, I'm again. I thought that was a fun movie. I liked rewatching it. Um, and Ant-Man versus Falcon. What did you think of that fight? If you remember it well, Chillmonger.
I remember not caring much about Falcon. He's just Falcon, but it was good to see the inclusion. Well, the telephone, not telephone, but the communication that they had back home, that was kind of cool. So they had ability to cut away at least to another character, which would be Hope talking to her dad, and it saved time for, how did Ant-Man get from there to there? Like, it was, yeah, good little fight. Like, it wasn't supposed to be. It was the middle of the movie, second act kind of fight. That's all.
What
be
about you, Rosa? Oh, okay. What did you want to say, DC?
I was gonna say I legit completely forgot about that fight. Oh yeah, I remember now. Falcon shows up in this film. I literally forgot.
That's an Ant-Man. Didn't you say you didn't watch Ant-Man, or did you watch Ant-Man since we
I've
last saw?
some clips. So, and plus I knew like some characters show up. Like, I know the villain Yellow Jacket, Darren Cross, or Chris, however you say it. I know Ant-Man has a daughter in the film. Yeah, so I know certain things about the film. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, when you guys were saying we're taking about that fight, I was like, what fight? And I was like, oh yeah, I literally forgot. Shows how kind of forgettable the MCU can kind of be at times. You guys are probably just gonna
It's
disagree.
hard to remember a movie you haven't watched. I'm sorry if I feel like I roast you a lot, DC, but man, it's hard to remember a movie you haven't watched. Oh wow. So Rosales, what did you think of the fight between Falcon and Ant-Man?
I think it was necessary to eat up time. Sorry about the dog. I think of the Avengers that could have been there guarding that stuff, they chose the most affordable Avenger. It wasn't much of a fight. It ate up some time, and it showed that they're just not leaving stuff around. So the Avengers stuff is not just hanging out in a you store it somewhere. Somebody's actually watching it, so that's good, for security reasons. But again, just to agree with Chillmonger, it was a second act fight. That's what it was.
Exactly. That's all. with Ant-Man. Who's the villain or the antagonist? Falcon. What do you expect over here? It's got an Ant-Man movie. Come on.
Two heroes meet, they have to fight. Again, that's the old trope. So
Mhm.
they had to do that. So
Because then it would actually take effort to write a reason for why two superheroes would be fighting after they meet. But so before they even know that they're both heroes and they're both good guys, that's the only time to get in this fight without thinking about it.
yeah. I'm a good guy, even though I'm stealing from the Avengers.
Yeah.
and that may seem like a villainous thing, like from the outside when you don't know why he's doing it, you're like, that's a bad guy there. But then you're like, oh, he has the art at the right place. He wants to do the right thing, So that's interesting. This is how you make good conflict. I really enjoyed that. Now something else would be I'm reading through my notes. Oh yeah, the training montage of Scott. That was cool. I like the fact that he needed to control his powers, and it's not like, oh, I can do this now because I got the suit. It's
What are you talking about? That woman punched him and made him her property. That woman said, "It's not how to throw a punch, huh? Let me tell you how to do a takedown." All that, and he kept failing. He kept failing and failing, and he was underground. And the ants made him sneeze, and he embiggened, and then he was stuck in the ground. They made him look like he didn't know what he was doing because he's a man. Urgh.
and yeah, I can see what you're doing right now. That's funny. I like it. You try to emulate like these anti-fan stuff, these people
Some
that
guys take it seriously. While
Yeah.
I do respect people analyzing movies to figure out what's the agenda being pushed here, I get it. That's taking it too seriously.
I agree with that. So here I thought it made sense that Scott would get beat the way you got beat, because she was actually trained in the past, and like she was taught self-defense and such. And Scott is not a hero by any means. He is the complete opposite,
You mean?
polar opposite. He is not a hero, so it's normal he would get defeated by that girl that trained during many years. So there's no agenda there. It's just story, I guess. Is the right word? Story? I think it is. So, now we are in the third act. What did you think of the big fight, Rosales, at the very end, where things are getting smaller and bigger?
I think that I don't quite remember it. I came into this stream pretty unprepared, so I didn't go back and watch it.
In the
That's
third
fine.
act, that's when they went to Darren Cross's base, right? Or
With the train and the toys, they
Yeah.
threw toys and lasers and
Oh yeah, the toy and Thomas the Tank Engine and all that other kind of good stuff. Yeah, I thought it was ridiculous, and even down to the creation of MODOK, where parts of his body were shrinking disproportionately to each other as he made his way to the quantum realm to be respooned by recast T'Challa. I mean, recast Kang.
recast Kang. So I guess Doug has the last word there. Chillmonger, what did you think of that? The fight with the toys and the villain in yellow in the third act.
Yeah, it's got to be some sort of paid sponsorship for Thomas the Tank Engine. I thought it was great. I thought it was creative. It's new, and what the hell, man? I know I'm supposed to be like, oh my god, it's a fight. This every blow could be the final blow, and I know we're supposed to take it seriously, but it was the Ant-Man movie, so let me have fun. Which I know you're not going to be a fan of, right? Too much jokes, too much low stakes. Yeah, but it was good enough for me.
Yeah. And I may have sound like I hated this movie. I didn't. I just thought I had issues with it. But yeah.
Remember when they were in the briefcase? When they were all stuck inside the briefcase and things were so little, right? We're looking at cash. We're looking at all of the items there.
That was cool. I
Yeah.
liked it. There are great moments. That movie is just fun. It's fun. It's a fun movie. I liked it. Um, so, except if you guys would like to add more about Ant-Man, I think it's the right moment to give our score to this movie. I guess it's the right time. So for me, this was an 8 out of 10. So that means I thought that was solid. I enjoyed it. What about you, Chill?
I'll give it a 4 plus 4, 8.
Oh, we came with the same score with different thought process. That's impressive. What about you, Rosales? Do you remember giving any notes or grade to that movie?
Well, I would have given it a 7 if it had more Mexican in it. But since they didn't have as much as I would have liked, he did drive the van, and that van wound up saving the universe later on. So, give him credit there. It's about a 6.5.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Very close to Civil War. So, we enter the last topic, and I think I will sound crazy for once with that one. I liked so much Doctor Strange. I
You don't
was.
you don't even sound crazy. In fact, I'm actually the crazy one because I didn't like the movie.
You haven't heard my full review, but damn, I was surprised in this most recent watch because I remember the first time I did watch it, and I know this one I've only seen it twice because that was my second time this time around. I thought that was average. I was like, oh, that's another MCU flick, but I liked it a lot this time around. I don't know what happened. What's the disconnect? I really don't know, but I just like it. So I will let uh, DC start on that one because I think he will be more negative than us. I think. I
Uh,
think.
yeah. Okay. So starters, this film really is not good for me because the fact that like okay, I do like that they have Doctor Strange, or at least Stephen Strange, before he becomes the heroic or quote unquote heroic Doctor Strange. He's a surgeon, which makes sense because that is actually part of the comics. Um, he is arrogant, which is part of the comics. But first, starting off, the first problem is that how he loses his hands. It's just
It's normal. He has a car crash, dude, and there's like glass all over his hands. It's normal. He
yeah,
freaking
but
loses his hand, bro.
I know, but it's like the way they filmed it is just hilariously bad. Like,
Maybe.
I've seen that clip a few times. I just, he's like, no, not my hands. Sorry, it's like he's like, it's just so funny, but for the wrong reasons. Like, supposed to be a serious scene, but they film it like in a way that would just make you laugh. Yeah. Other issues um is I guess is like how convenient is for him. Like plus I this is also part in the comics, but it's like if he can't use his hands, how can he travel the world? Like I get that end up in like some Asian country at best. There's literally no way you can do it because you're gonna have to walk on stuff, you're gonna have to use your hands. And the fact that they
He
it's
could use his hands, but that was painful. He had damage and nerves and stuff, but he still had access to his hand, but they were not as good as they used to be. So maybe there's a misconception of on all you think his end were broken because technically speaking he could still use his hands, but they were more painful and damaged. So like they were still functional, but he has like tremor and like his end were not good enough or fit enough for surgery and that kind of stuff. That's most likely the reason why his end got destroyed. But they were still there. He could still like open door and write. it was clearly shown in the movie to be able to write. It wasn't good writing, but it was able to write. So yeah, maybe that's a misconception. I don't know. But keep going, DC.
Um, like the fact that they clearly set up guy with the black hair. He's a character in the comics. I don't know how you say his name, but they they set him up throughout the film as the main villain, only for him to just only to do a psych. It's Dormammu from the comics, even though he looks nothing like Dormammu. Which okay, character design isn't usually a problem with me, but I feel like in this case it's a problem because literally Dormammu has actually one of the best designs. Just think of Ghost Rider. Yeah, he pretty much like giant Ghost Rider, as I like to call him, and he looks awesome. Here, he looks how you say it, trash, forgettable, and crappy. Yeah,
But did we watch the same Doctor Strange? Because he's like, yeah.
yeah. We want we I watched this film. Okay, multi.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well,
Okay.
to be completely fair for the design of Dormammu, um, the idea of any kind of texture or detail on the face of Dormammu in the comic books is just relegated to several vertical lines across the face. And in the same sense that that's the way they used to draw the Human Torch back in the early days. That was supposed to be emblematic of energy in a shorthand kind of way. And to take that literally and try to transpose that into a three-dimensional world is literally impossible. So they took that and used the idea of sound waves emanating over the surface of Dormammu's face, and that's why he looked the way he looked, and he had the ridges that were moving across his face. I mean, had they done that with the Human Torch when they made the films, the Human Torch would be covered with lines, and so you can't really do exactly what was in the comic books. You have to adapt
Well,
it for the medium that you're in.
well. Here's the thing
True.
with the Human Torch, they still got him right. They still were able to use CGI and essentially use him fire. Plus, when you talk about Dormammu, then how could Capcom make Dormammu look really good in Marvel vs. Capcom compared to this? And I don't care if I'm comparing like a video game to a movie. It's still the same thing. So yeah.
I've never seen the Capcom version of that, so sorry, I can't answer why.
Okay. Well, still, it kind of I kind of like I just find it hard to believe. Like you couldn't even come up with a better design. Like if say that design couldn't work for the film, there's like a million options you can do to make the character look cooler. But yeah. The I've come to bargain line is obviously a meme nowadays. I'm not even gonna comment. I don't even get how
But do
that's
you
like.
understand why they did that? Because you say you're not going to comment on it because like
I mean, I get it.
sorry if I sound harsh, but like I want to help out a bit there to wonder like how you could maybe uh like improve on media literacy, if we can call it that way. But why do you think he said I've come to bargain, DC?
I mean, I get it's like his like time travel ability. Like just to he can essentially like save the planet or some crap like that. I don't know. It's at least something like that. But yeah.
Not really. So the reason why he came to bargain there, it's because Doctor Strange knew that he wasn't strong enough to beat Dormammu, and he was doing a bluff because he knew Dormammu was stronger than him, but he made him believe that he had something to beat him. He had something against Dormammu, so he could defeat Dormammu. So that was really an idea of I cannot really beat you, but I won't admit it, and I want to scare you off. That was what he was trying to do,
And it took thousands of tries.
Yeah. Which
and
okay,
it worked.
that can work because Dormammu in the comics is actually one of the most powerful villains in Marvel. So that's why I can kind of see it being 1,000 tries. Yeah. Um Another issue I have, they clearly set up Baron Mordo, the black dude, just for you guys' sake, the black ally of Doctor Strange. Um, they clearly set him up in the post-credit scene, only for them to not even include him or even bother with him at all. So that's why we got the crappy Shuma Gorath in the what was it called? The Malviolent of Multiversal Crappiness?
WandaVision 2.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen that one yet. I've only heard bad stuff about it. I'm still looking forward to watch it eventually, but that's much later down the line.
Sorry,
Oh,
I
no.
should have said spoiler alert.
No, I've heard every spoiler possible. I know Fantastic Four died there. I know people were angry that Wanda had such a big role in that movie, and I've heard all of it. I don't mind enough. Like at that point, I kind of tapped out of the MCU, and what got me back into it was really I liked well. I liked the character of Miss Marvel. I thought her show was bad, but I liked the character, and I that gave me hope. And they only ripped it away with a bad movie with the Marvels. But hey, I still enjoyed that bad movie. But yeah, that's my relationship toward the MCU later on.
Yeah.
Also, I'd hope for Moon Knight. I'm excited to rewatch this one. I hope my criticism will be better than it used to be. Anyway, Doctor Strange. So, do you want to add more, DC?
I'm pretty much done. Yeah, I'm pretty much done. It's just I just have a lot of problems. Like the fact that they set up all these characters only for them to just not even use them. So very bad writing, and they set up all these villains like Baron Mordo, and yeah, Dormammu's design, like I said, they if say the comic design could not work well, you could have made a better option, or you could have picked a different villain. Like, what was the problem? Like, there's no difference if you use Baron Mordo from the comics, or you could have used Shumagora, but that one could have been a bit too hard. There's other villains that they could have chose, but they had to choose with Dormammu, which makes sense. He is Doctor Strange's most biggest villain, but they if they couldn't do him well, then they need to choose either someone else or do a different direction. But the direction they have to actually make sense and actually works well for the story. If it's just normal MCU, no, it won't work.
Okay. So Chillmonger, you are next on Doctor Strange. What did you think of that movie?
It was a pleasant surprise that Rachel McAdams was cast as Dr. Christine Palmer, right? 5 bags of popcorn. That's right. That's how much popcorn bags I would give it to. Oh, look, when I saw him and his actions, and then I compared it to Tony Stark, I can see the kind of comparisons between the two of them, but he was different enough to be his own character. The hand stuff and the visuals is like, and even the beginning with the mirror realm, right? All of that factored in when all the visual stuff that we thought was just for camera tricks, or we just thought, oh, this is, they're doing the Inception, Christopher Nolan. It was important in this movie, and it was impressed. Again, I was thoroughly impressed by a new character that they're just introducing, just like no one really knew who Thor was, unless you're into Norse mythology. No one really knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, and all of a sudden, oh, these Hawkeye, Black Widow, Doctor Strange is another just hero that people will start to know. So they introduced another one, and it was executed well. If we get to the Kamartaj stuff, they were talking about the Wi-Fi password. We're not savages. Here's where we fit in to make it more real than that fake comic book stuff. They did a good job of making it feel more real. Now, they also had a big question to ask about why, we're 18 movies in to this franchise. We weren't 18. Maybe we were 15, 14. It was the 14th movie. And we're like, okay, where are these sorcerers? Magic exists and people can do stuff like that? As Thor would say in Ragnarok, Earth has wizards now? So why were you guys gone? Well, there's an explanation for the secrecy. So kind of like I said for Ant-Man, I won't dig too deep into it. The Ancient One was a great character to me. And as an ignorant guy who didn't know that that's not what the Ancient One looks like, I was good. Even Baron Mordo. I don't know who Baron Mordo was. I was good with the performances that they came in and they brought. If I could regret something, so the fighting scene with Caecilius was good, and I would like a better final fight. Dormammu, I've come to bargain, isn't a fight. It's still clever though, and they managed to sneak in an Infinity Stone also. This movie did everything I want from Marvel because it felt like it was Marvel, and I never had to ask where was Doctor Strange during 2012. Like, good movie.
Yeah, and I get your point. Oh, the final fight is a letdown. I get it. I see where you're coming from, but I disagree because I thought that that's part of the charm of this movie. It doesn't end on a big brawl like most of the other MCU do. It's like,
yeah, and we got enough
guy
action. We got enough special effects when he was in his astral plane and was getting those the chest compulsion. What are they called? You know, the things. It was
Yeah.
clear. So when we're getting that, and he was a ghost form fighting, he even
that
said,
was the best fight scene the movie had.
"Oh yeah,
I was
oh yeah."
pleased with it.
Yeah, so
I
it's not like I
liked
didn't
it.
get my fill, and then by the ending, it was that's all you're gonna do. I did get my fill.
I feel you. I feel you. But again, I can see why, because like we are used to, oh, this is the third act. There's a big showdown between the good guy and the bad guy because that's Marvel. But here it's just the guy is smart. And this is why I enjoy Doctor Strange so much. And you're right. He is very different than Tony Stark. Tony Stark is someone very emotional, at least in the MCU, in the movie we have seen, because like uh he has PTSD, like he will like try to, I did the best he can, but good luck with that. Like he like his emotions are in full display when he's getting drunk, when he's a mess, like he is a mess, you know. Like, Doctor Strange is more of a analytical person. He's more like uh mathematic, like it's hard to say, but he's more like someone that's smart, and like he is proud to reveal it to everyone, a bit like Tony, but it's not the same kind of intelligence. Like he is in control and he looks smart. So that's why Doctor Strange really feels different, because he's in control of what he is doing. And what's very sad about this tragedy is now that he got that car accident and he lost his hands, he is no longer in the control he used to be in. And this shakes up things for him. And what does he becomes after that? He becomes someone that cares more about others than he used to, because now he kind of bonded with Christine at the end of the movie at some extent. And early in the movie was just pushing people away. And that's another parallel we can draw between Tony and Strange, but they do it in different ways and for different reasons. Like Doctor Strange push away people he cannot control, while Tony push away people because they want to come close. It's
That's the difference.
yeah, I think. Yeah, I think. Oh, I see a nice comment there. I Doctor Strange almost washed Thanos with 3 stones.
Yeah, what the hell?
That's true.
Yeah, and then Star-Lord had to be a moron by doing what he did.
I think it was 5 stones. So the last stone that was gotten was Vision on Earth, and then the Time Stone was the second last stone. So it's 4 stones.
Yeah.
I also feel like I will need to rewatch again Doctor Strange, because I just like that movie a lot. I wish I gave that movie more credit the first time I did see it. So I will go back in my thoughts a bit later. I will let Rosales talk a bit about Doctor Strange now. What did you think of Doctor Strange?
I really did enjoy Iron Man 2.0.
Oh,
And it's not because that's the way he is in the comic books. It's because that's the formula they decided to go back to when developing the character. Narcissistic, well-to-do person finds himself in a plight and has to change who he is in order to redeem who he was. And so, when he gets to the reading Rainbow Room of uh, Karmatage, where every color is represented, and learning the masters of the arts, and they gender swap the ancient one. There's that's a sticking point for me. So yeah, it was a fairly decent movie. I think it's wise that they kept his narcissism in check, not necessarily in check, but he's doing what he can do with the hand that he's dealt. See what I did there? The hand that he was dealt. Jill,
The best one. I like it.
his hands, Jill. He was dealt new hands. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Over my head.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
I got it. That's fine, Rosales. If I got it.
No, but I had another tab open. I was half listening because my turn was over like a minute ago, so I wasn't listening.
Yeah, there's no reason to pay attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it was a fairly good movie for what it was, and it did a great job of answering the question of why nobody saw magic being used. They were all doing it in the mirror realm, so nobody was able to see it.
Yep.
And so that's where the big fights happened. That's where the big conflicts were settled.
Meet me in the mirror room.
Yeah, it was all handled backstage. So we handle our own business around here. So, all in all, I thought the Dormammu sequence was a bit repetitive, but other than that, I think I don't like stories where you can undo everything that happened, like if it was all in a dream. So I felt the ending was a little bit of a Deus ex machina to bring things back to the way they were. So, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. It actually was one of my favorite Marvel comic book movies.
Yeah, I feel you, man. And I will add something. So I was thinking a lot about what I would say next, and I feel like if Tony was placed in the same situation as Doctor Strange, even if Tony is depicted as being someone very smart, he is also kind of impulsive at some extent. So even if he knows his opponent is stronger, he would just rush through it and he would fight fist on Dormammu and he would get washed. And the biggest difference is now that Doctor Strange tries to bargain. So that's the biggest difference, because Doctor Strange has the intelligence and he uses it in the best way possible. While Tony, he's not always yeah, he's smart. I won't downplay him, but I feel like sometimes his intelligence is wasted because of his flaws, being I do rash decision and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you got to ask yourself, who's got more character, though? It's one thing to sit there and say, I'm Iron Man, and snap your fingers one time and then you're out. It's another to go into somebody else's own universe and tell them, I've come here to bargain, knowing thousands of times you are going to die, feel it, and remember it. And that is commitment. That is far more commitment. I'm willing to die one time. There's a snap of the fingers. I'm Iron Man. I'm willing to die 1,000 times to get it done. I'm here to bargain. So, it shows a little bit of, what was going on between the two characters, and it distinguished a lot, which is what I was grateful for about the film. That made it separated from the copycat it was trying to be in the first part. So,
you think Dormammu ever said, one of these deaths are going to be a slow one, right? Because we're just going to be back here in 5 minutes. So, in 5 seconds. So let's extend this. Maybe he'll regret it. Maybe he'll be like, do I really want it?
There was one that was slower than the others, but because the way they edited and framed the shots, they made it as fast as the others.
Mm.
I thought that was clever. That aspect of that that ending sequence, like if you really look into it, like every time he comes back, that may look repetitive, and I could understand the criticism, but I feel like they were trying to showcase all the different times like Doctor Strange can get washed until Dormammu gives up, you know. um so again, I I thought that was amazing, but you made a very valid point. I like what you brought up, Chill. I do think they did it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my media literacy is also kind of bad sometimes. We are not perfect there. Um, so Rosales, I'm wondering. I feel like I started fast. Did you wanted to add more, Rosales?
No, no, I'm good.
Okay. Um, but yeah, I just like this movie so much. The music, the action, the lore, like everything about this movie was great. And it's funny how the last time I was praising that much the MCU movie was the first Iron Man. Not that stuff in between isn't as great, but it's the first time I'm like, wow, I'm excited to just rewatch it. Like if I had more time, I think I would have rewatched it right after. But I'm time limited a bit. And I got a bunch of stuff I want to watch. So, but I like this movie. I had no issue whatsoever, and I had a very different experience this time around than my first time around. Because again, the first time around, I remember being like, "Oh, it's not a bad movie. It's cool. I enjoyed it, but not that much." It's like, "Oh, another MCU," and I didn't get what's underneath it because my media literacy back then wasn't good. Um, it got better over the years. Lucky us. Otherwise, I would
What is,
sound terrible.
what does media literacy mean?
It's basically understanding character arc, story, and like the writing behind what's going on, like in media, like movies, TV shows, or stories in general. That's the meaning of it. Um, so I used to really suck at analyzing like story arc or character arc, and if that fl- um, fly over your head, that's what I was searching for. If that flies over your head, then maybe some of the movies you watch and see are not as good as when you understand it, if you know what I mean. Um, so maybe you don't. Maybe it's too messy. I think it's too messy. But yeah, I think a better understanding of story in general is always a good thing when it comes to like watching something. I think so. Um, I will give this movie a 10 out of 10.
No, you
Um,
wouldn't.
I give it 10. I swear.
You give it dece. Okay. I'm surprised.
It's my second favorite MCU so far,
Damn.
and I watched my letterbox right now. It's in my top 10 right now.
Is Scott Derrickson like your one of your favorite directors?
Not even close. Like I think that's the only thing I've seen from him.
You better watch another Scott Derrickson movie and see if you found gold. 10 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah, I have no issues whatsoever. I just like this movie a lot. I still think Iron Man has a small edge over this because I like more vigilantes uh than superheroes in general because vigilantes are just cooler. And Stark, I know he's a superhero, but I feel like he's more vigilante like he doesn't have powers. He has a suit and he has a big brain. Well, Strange is cool with his magic, but it's not as cool as like being Iron Man, you know.
Sure.
And I will also say this: it's also interesting how this guy approached everything with science, Doctor Strange now. I go back at it because I completely forgot to mention that, and I think it's worth mentioning. He has a lot of growth in this movie, and parts of it is like learning that you cannot control every single thing in your life. And the other thing is, oh, um, there's magic in this universe, and it doesn't need science to explain the magic of this universe. Because at first it was like, oh, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't exist. It's like someone learning fate or someone earning fate through what he goes through. I don't know if I was clear on that or if I was too messy. It's like he learned how to view things in another way he could not prior this movie. So maybe now it's more clear. I don't know. So again, for me, that's a 10. Second favorite MCU movie. What about you, DC?
I would probably give it a 2, like Civil War.
Are you serious, bro? Okay.
Hey, I don't like these movies, Multi.
Okay.
So yeah,
Now you know how I feel when we cover Walking Dead.
well, that's different.
It's
That
not
was-
that harsh, but okay. Okay.
Just wait until we reach No Way Home and Homecoming. Just wait,
Damn.
because I'm gonna pull what you did with Wakanda Forever for those ones. So
Oh, really?
fair,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And it's probably gonna be even worse than your take on Wakanda Forever. So just prepare yourself. Killmonger is already like, I almost don't even want to be and listen to this guy's you anymore.
Killmonger. So, what would be your grade out of 10 for this movie?
9 out of 10. I remember the way it made me feel. And then when it came on Netflix, as all they all do, I was like, boom, I got to watch this movie a second time. It's on Netflix. Oh, I guess I'm not doing anything for 2 hours. And I love this movie. It's enough to give it a 9.
And what about you, Rosales? The dog is barking.
Oh, he said in the private chat, so he's not back yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, BRB. Oh,
Dog
okay, 5 minutes ago. Okay.
Yeah. Plus,
So,
when his dog bark, it actually kind of scared me at a few points.
yeah, I just like this movie. I like it so much. I'm excited to rewatch it again. And I'm so afraid for Multiverse of Madness. It's like how will they ruin everything.
Don't worry, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Okay. That's a bit reassuring.
You know,
Yeah, you might give it a 6,
It's
but
just-
it's not. Don't go in there thinking it's gonna be terrible and bad. Wanda. Don't worry, you're good.
Okay.
he's just making that up, Multi, because he just wants you to hate the movie more than Wakanda Forever. So congrats, so just pointing it
Good
out.
luck, bro. Like Wakanda Forever went in the minus following my grid, and I needed to be generous to give back points. That
Yeah.
was the first time ever I did that. And to give you an idea when we will cover it, because that's the point we will be at in the MCU, I won't even ask people for watching it. I will just leave the link of the review on the description, and I will say, who I've seen it can share their opinion and thoughts. But I'm not talking about this movie. I'm not rewatching this movie.
So you may need Nimona, but you won't even rewatch Wakanda Forever.
I like Nimona, man. You have so much hate toward this movie. This movie doesn't deserve so much hate.
Well, I just don't get how Cole could like a movie like Nimona. Like I said before, with you, it only
We
depends.
all liked it, bro. You're the only one on your corner.
Like always, I'm always alone. Which
Oh, Rosales is back. So
Dallas, welcome back. Welcome back.
So we were at the grades. Chill gave a 9. DC gave a 2. I was kind of shocked. I gave a 10. What about you, Rosales?
I give it an 8.5.
Oh, that's amazing. So I don't sound that crazy. It's a bit high, but I don't sound that crazy. That's good. I'm glad.
We're talking about the Doctor Strange, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And
Yeah,
and
it
we
was
were
great-ish, according to William. So we majority of us are saying, you know what I mean?
you see Multiverse of Madness, I think. Mom is Multiverse of Madness was great ish.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, you're
Film
right.
that
My
we're
bad.
gonna watch eventually, and I'm probably sure. I hope I don't give it a negative score like I will with Homecoming or No Way Home.
But have you seen it?
No.
Mom, Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah, who have seen it here?
Yeah, I've seen it because, I thought they called it Mom because it was WandaVision.
Oh,
But that will be covered in future streams eventually.
oh,
I'm wondering, I will ask the both of you since you're both there. Are you into Apes, Planet of the Apes? Chillmonger and Rosales?
I've seen the movies, but I'm not in it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You
Well,
mean like an actor, right? You're
no,
not in
like
it like an actor?
no, like
it's like if you have enjoyed it, or if speaking about it would be interesting for the both of you.
I enjoyed the film so far. The latest one is coming out, and they're getting closer and closer to what the original movies were. So yeah, the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is probably something I will go see in the theaters.
Oh, that's amazing. I mentioned that because we will have two Planet of the Apes streams, one in May and one in June, I believe, or both are in May. I will need to relook at the planning. Um, we like to cover new stuff, we cover MCU stuff, but we also cover new stuff. So,
quote stuff, but yeah,
what did you say, DC? You cut off.
quote unquote new stuff, but yeah.
Well, 2024 is new. Think.
Yeah, but I mean, we haven't even covered any 2024 films from my knowledge. Or at least
We did. You were just not around. That was when Alex and Drew were there.
good days.
Yeah, we actually covered 7 so far, I think.
All right.
But there's a lot of 2024 movie in future weeks. So yeah, there's a lot. And we covered Monkey Man this week, so that's another 2024 movie. You were there, so we covered the 2024 movie together.
For just covering MCU movies, it's breaking my brain.
Alligator lives matter, lives matter.
Alligator lives matter. Get it right.
Lives matter.
Right.
It's confusing. Why there's live and lives? Like it's lives
Right.
for life, but it's so confusing for me. It's like
This is
I
a
have
live stream.
I know the difference between both, but it's so confusing for my brain. It's like how should I pronounce the shit?
Monty, it's a simple answer. Just blame
Lives.
the person who came up with the word lives in the first place. Just blame that person for why they can't pronounce things right.
There's no word in English that ends with a V, so they added the E to the end of the word. Live.
Okay.
Okay, so like Liv Morgan from WWE, I don't know if she's still in WWE. So like, yeah, they say it in English, but yeah.
Okay, so what do you have going on, DC, on your end of the internet?
I plan to maybe later today or tomorrow. I don't know. I've been kind of getting a little lazy with some videos, so hopefully I can release my thoughts on Cody Rhodes winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, the latest WrestleMania. I've just been so lazy at times. So it's like I don't even feel like in the mood for making a video. That's why I've been kind of postponing. Plus, next month I try not to expect that too much content. I do try to at least hope I can just upload on Fridays and weekends at the very least, which seemed like a good strategy, has helped me in the past. But yeah, and yes, Killmonger and Rosales, yes, I do make videos, and yes, I used to make videos in pre-COVID 2020. So yeah, more facts you know.
Okay, what about you, Rosales? What do you have going on your end of the internet?
Well, every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time in the United States, we do a show called a Super Sunday Wrap Up, where we talk about this week's events and things that are going on in the news. Well, entertainment-wise, that is. This Sunday, we'll be talking about Golden Axe, the animated series. We'll be talking about the comic book Aliens versus Avengers. We'll be talking about how Netflix is being accused of using AI in one of their documentary series. We'll talk about Sony's interest in purchasing Paramount, and we'll be also taking a look at the Transformers 1 trailer.
That's
Oh,
cool.
That's fun. I'm looking forward to watch that movie. That will be a fun movie. I'm usually asleep while you stream. That's the sad part. I'm asleep. I'm a night owl, that's why I always stream in the evening. But that sounds fun. And
Yeah,
that's
well-
funny because I thought I did sub to you in the past, but for some reason
Well,
I
we have
wasn't.
people. We have some of the streamers that we have as guest panelists. They some of them are in England. One lovely little lady is in Dubai, and so we try to get Chillmonger. Of course, he comes on whenever he can, which is always great. He's in Canada.
Yeah.
That doesn't really mean anything when it comes to our time zones, but
Nope.
he's we've got an international group of panelists that oh yeah, Cole's in South America hiding from the FBI, so there's that.
No, hiding for Multi, who's hunting him down because Multi really hates Cole for no reason, and he just wants Cole deleted. So yeah, that's
No,
what.
what are you talking about? He creates like fan fiction. Like he's on this planet right now. I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
I'm
Cole, I miss you.
Multi, I'm making a joke, okay? Multi, you want real fan fiction? Look at some of my characters' names. Like, I come up with far worse, okay? So,
Alligator lives matter.
yeah, that's my propaganda. Alligator lives matter, Multi.
But I'm surprised because I was sure I was sub to you. I was sure,
Yeah.
but apparently not. So I did because
Well, it's,
I need to correct it.
It's on the YouTube. We also on occasion will stream it on the Rumble, and we stream it on Twitch. And lately, I've been streaming it straight to Twitter. So if you wake up later than the show happens to be, you should be able to find it in the Twitter feed. Later that day. So
Perfect.
And then Multi forgets, which yeah,
I have fish memory. I blame it on the years I did drink over the weekends. Alcohol is bad, folks. Don't do that. So, do you have anything else going on your end of the internet, Rosales?
well, I do have a comic book that's currently available right now on Global Comics. There's a 4-issue limited series called My Frankenstein, and there is a 16, I believe, episodes or issues of the Avenger, which is a classic comic book that's in public domain. I refurbished it, if you will. Brought it up to scale, cleaned it up, and did all kinds of nice things to the images that were available online, and put it out there to preserve the history of American comic books. So that's available, and that's for free. So you can go to globalcomics.com and download the app and search up Rosales Comics. You'll find everything I have there available.
Yeah, I might read that. And adapt to my Marvel's DC show, and then get you canceled.
Yeah, because it's got some stuff in there that probably wouldn't get published today.
Yeah,
some
that's
anti-communist
cool to hear.
stuff, anti-Chinese stuff, and things like that.
Oh my, that's less cool, but the rest sounds fun.
Yeah.
What about you, Chillmonger? What do you have going on your end of the internet?
I'm going to be looking at news stories, so I'll refresh my feed, and then whatever comic book related entertainment stuff happens, I'll cover it. So whatever that is, look out for it in an hour, 2 hours from now on my channel.
Or Jonathan Majors?
Yeah, he's probably going to come up a couple more times in the channel.
That's good.
Chillmonger's obsession with Jonathan Majors is very interesting, I have to say. Very interesting character mind into the mind of. So
It's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's entertainment.
Yeah, but I also disagree with obsession characterizing the defense that I'm doing for this man who's being slandered unfairly, and then
When you see a
covering every
miscarriage of justice show up as blatantly as was carried out against Jonathan Majors, it really deserves to have a light shined on it.
True.
That's
Yeah,
I agree.
and also Killmonger. That obsession part was just a joke.
DC, your humor is suspicious sometime, I gotta say.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying though, just in case no one's paying attention, or just because in case no one is. Never mind. I don't gotta explain. We're good.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway,
am I no longer allowed to joke on this channel? That's sad.
No. I've never said that. I'm just saying it's suspicious, bro.
Hashtag recast Dormammu.
Recast alligator lives matter.
Everybody gets recast. Don't worry. It's just you gotta not be T'Challa. That's all.
I will be recast. But again, great show. Thank you a lot, Rosales and Chillmonger.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining, man. I think for a long time we were meant to have that stream, but it just never happened. Now it did. It did. Looks like Friday's rule. No, take back alligator. This marks the end. And I had a blast. Thank you guys. And this is the end.